I took my wife to Europe for our 10th anniversary, only to catch her sneaking out of our hotel room at 3 a.m. to meet someone she'd met on the plane. When I confronted her, she said, "You were just a free ride." I booked a new flight home, without her, and made sure the hotel bill for the entire trip was charged to her personal account, leaving her stranded with nothing but her carry-on. My name's Rob. I'm 41. I've been married, was married, to a woman named Marcy for 10 years. We met in Dayton, Ohio, when I was managing a hardware store and she was working at a local florist. I thought she was beautiful. Smart. Kind. We had a slow start, but once we clicked, things moved fast. We got married a year and a half after our first date. Bought a small house. Built a life. You know, the American dream. Marcy always wanted to see Europe. She'd talk about it when she was drunk or when she saw a movie with castles and narrow cobblestone streets. I'd smile and nod and say, "One day." I meant it. I'm not rich, but I save. I'm practical. We didn't travel much, just a weekend road trip now and then. But I promised her we'd go someday. So when our 10th anniversary came around, I wanted to surprise her. I planned the whole thing in secret. I booked a 2-week trip, Paris, Rome, Venice, and a few nights at a vineyard in Tuscany. I maxed out our points, dipped into my savings. I even talked to her boss to clear her schedule. It was the biggest gesture I'd ever made in my life. She cried when I told her. Said I was the best husband in the world. Hugged me tight and whispered, "I don't deserve you." That line hits different now. We landed in Paris on a Tuesday. First couple days were good. We ate crepes by the river. Took pictures at the Eiffel Tower. But something felt off. She wasn't really there. You know what I mean. Her body was next to me, but her head was somewhere else. She was glued to her phone. She'd smile at texts and hide the screen when I looked over. She made excuses to go downstairs and get fresh air a little too often. I asked once if something was wrong. She said no and rolled her eyes like I was annoying her. I gave her space. Maybe too much. On the 4th night, I woke up to pee. I noticed right away the bed was empty. I checked the bathroom, lights off, door open. I checked the hallway. Nothing. Then I saw her purse was gone. Her coat, too. But not her phone. It was on the nightstand, buzzing quietly. She forgot it. I should have put it down. I know. But I didn't. Her texts were open. No passcode. The guy's name was Luca. Luca, can't stop thinking about you. Luca, meet me again tonight? Same spot. Luca, you're too beautiful to be with someone like him. There were over 40 messages. Some from that day. Some from 2 nights ago. One right before she left our room. I sat on the bed for a minute, just staring at the wall. My hands were shaking. Not from rage. From pure, sick confusion. I threw on clothes and followed. I didn't know where she went, but I remembered the last message said, "corner." I walked 2 blocks to the main street, and there she was. Right under a streetlight, looking around like she was waiting for a cab. Then he showed up. Luca. Young guy. Dark jacket. Long legs. French looking, I guess. He kissed her like they'd known each other for years. She leaned into him like I'd never seen her lean into me. They walked off together, arms around each other. I didn't follow. I didn't even cry. I walked back to the hotel and waited. Sat in the chair by the window. Didn't turn on the lights. Just waited. She came back around 6 a.m. quietly. Took off her shoes at the door. She didn't see me at first. Where the hell were you? I asked, voice flat. She jumped and dropped her bag. What the hell, Rob? Don't scare me like that. Answer the question. She paused. Then shrugged. I went for a walk. Try again. She looked at the nightstand. Saw her phone. Knew I knew. She crossed her arms. I met him on the plane. You left our bed at 3 a.m. to hook up with some guy you met on the plane? He's more interesting than you've been in years. He listens. He makes me feel wanted. I just stared. You used me, I said. She didn't even blink. You paid. That's all you ever do. Pay for things. You're like a free ride. That was it. Something inside me clicked off. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I stood up, took a shower, and told her I needed space. She rolled her eyes and got into bed. While she slept, I packed my things. Booked a new flight. Same day. One way. I went down to the front desk and asked to separate our reservations. Oh, your wife's card is also on file, the guy said. Perfect, I said. Charge everything to her card. Room service, laundry, city tax. Everything. I left her passport in the safe. Took my suitcase, called a cab, and left. She didn't call. Didn't text. Not for 2 days. When she finally did, she said, "You left me stranded." I replied, "You stranded yourself." After I landed back in Ohio, I didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not my friends, not my brother, not even my mom, and she'd always loved Marcy. I went to work like nothing happened, came home to an empty house, and sat in silence. But inside, I was burning. The more I thought about what she said, "You were just a free ride," the more I knew this wasn't just cheating. This was betrayal on a whole other level. She didn't just break her vows. She used me. Played me. And didn't feel a single ounce of shame. A week later, she came back to Ohio. She'd had to call her sister to buy her a return flight. I didn't even ask how she made it back. I figured she sweet-talked someone like she always did. I wasn't home when she got back to our house. I made sure of that. She left a note on the kitchen table, "Can we talk?" No apology. No explanation. Just that. The next day, I filed for divorce. Ohio is a no-fault state. I didn't need to prove anything. But I made sure to send the paperwork to her at her work. I didn't want to play games, I wanted her to feel it. She came home furious. "You're just going to throw away 10 years over one mistake?" I said nothing. She tried to cry. She tried to scream. She tried to guilt me. "We have history. You're not even going to try counseling?" "You gave up on this marriage in Paris," I said. "I'm just making it official." The next few weeks were hell. She moved in with her sister, then kept showing up at the house to grab things. Always when I wasn't home. I started noticing stuff missing, not just clothes, but small things. A photo album. A pair of my old watches. My dad's pocket knife. That's when I bought cameras. I set one up inside the garage and one in the living room. Next time she came by, she didn't know I'd be watching. She walked in with an empty bag and left with it full. She took a box of my tools, not hers, mine, and a folder from my home office. I called her that night. "You're stealing from me now?" "Oh, come on," she said. "Half of that stuff is mine anyway." "No," I said. "That's not how this is going to work." Then she got smug. "Fine. Take it to court. You really want to fight me on this? You know judges side with women." That's when I stopped talking to her altogether. I gave everything to my lawyer, the footage, the texts, even a screenshot of her message to Luca where she said, "Once I'm divorced, I'll finally be free." But I didn't stop there. She had no idea how much I knew about our finances. She never paid attention to the accounts, just the balance. I knew where the joint savings went, where the retirement fund was, and how her name wasn't even on the home deed because she asked me to take care of the boring stuff when we bought the place. Turns out being boring paid off. I had the power to lock her out of most of it. The day she found out I froze the joint account, she came by screaming, banging on the front door. "You're leaving me with nothing." "You left yourself with nothing," I said, watching from the upstairs window. After I cut off the accounts and filed the paperwork, things got quiet for a couple weeks. I started feeling like maybe the worst was behind me. That maybe, just maybe, she'd take the hint and disappear. I was wrong. It started with a call from my HR manager at work. He sounded awkward. Hesitant. "Rob, we got an anonymous tip that you were misusing company funds. Submitting false expenses. We're not accusing you, but we have to look into it." I sat there stunned. I'd worked there for over 10 years. Never once bent the rules. I checked every receipt, submitted everything by the book. I asked him if he had any idea who sent it. It came from a burner email. But, the timing's weird, man. I knew exactly who it was. Marcy. She couldn't hurt me emotionally, so she was trying to ruin my reputation. My job. I got ahead of it fast. Pulled every expense report for the last 3 years. Cross-checked everything. Even had 2 coworkers back me up. The investigation ended in 2 days, but the damage was done. Word got around the office. Some people looked at me different. Like they were wondering if it was true. I texted her that night, "That was low. Even for you." She didn't respond. But 2 days later, I got another email, from the realtor who helped us buy the house. "Hi Rob, just confirming you want to list the house. Your wife said you two agreed to sell." She was trying to sell my house. I called the realtor immediately. Shut it down. Then I sent her a formal cease and desist through my lawyer. That's when I found out something else. While digging through old paperwork to prepare for the divorce, I found a storage unit bill. I didn't recognize it. It was in her name, but I was paying for it. I drove out there. It was in a sketchy part of town, not somewhere Marcy ever went on her own. I showed ID and told them I was her husband. They let me in. What I found made my stomach twist. Boxes of stuff, but not ours. Old photo frames, dishes, even a cheap wedding dress. None of it was hers. At least, not from our wedding. There were also journals. One had JS written on the front. Not her initials. I flipped it open. The first page read, "I still think about you every day. If I had married you instead of him." I stopped reading. Who the hell was JS? I took pictures of everything. Didn't take the boxes, not yet, but now I had more questions than answers. That night, I looked through her old Facebook messages. We hadn't unfriended each other yet. Dumb move on her part. She had a hidden folder. Buried deep. I found messages to someone named Jason Sutter. I clicked. Boom. 10 years worth of messages. Some old, from before we got married. Some recent. Real recent. One from 3 months before the Europe trip. "I still dream about you. He has no idea. He never did." It hit me like a brick. Luca wasn't some random guy from a plane. He was just the new version of the same lie. She'd been doing this for years. All those nights she said she was at work late. All those sudden girls' weekends. It wasn't just one mistake in Paris. It was a pattern. I didn't say a word to her. Not yet. I needed to plan my next move. I sat on the truth for a few days. Didn't tell her I knew about Jason Sutter. Didn't mention the storage unit, or the fake house sale, or the HR stunt. I kept quiet, kept working, acted normal. But every night I was putting pieces together. Jason was from her hometown, a guy she used to date back before we met. I remembered her mentioning him once, calling him a deadbeat loser who couldn't hold a job. Guess that wasn't true. Or maybe that was just what she told me to keep her story straight. I found him on Facebook. His profile was public. Every post was about loyalty and people changing once they get money. One had a photo of a motorcycle with the caption, "She's finally mine." Posted 2 weeks after she got back from Paris. I showed that post to my lawyer. He raised an eyebrow. "Is that motorcycle paid for with your joint savings?" "Maybe," I said. She had access to the travel refund I got for the cancelled Italy portion. It was still in the joint account before I froze it. He nodded. "We're going to ask for a forensic audit." Game on. I also printed every message I found between her and Jason. Highlighted dates. Notes in the margins. Cross-referenced with her calendar. Laid out a pattern of lies stretching back nearly 4 years. I found out she had once flown to Nashville to see him and told me she was at a work seminar. I even found a damn selfie she took with him, and then cropped him out of it for her conference Instagram post. She didn't just lie. She crafted lies. Layers deep. I sent the whole file to her lawyer. Quietly. No warning. That same night, she called me in tears. "Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to ruin me?" "I'm not ruining you," I said. "You did that yourself. I never meant to hurt you." I laughed. "Couldn't help it. You called me a free ride. In Paris. Remember that?" Silence. She hung up. 3 days later, she showed up at my door. No makeup. Looked exhausted. "I want to settle," she said. "Let's just get it over with. You're not getting the house. Or my pension. Or anything from my private accounts. You walked out of our marriage a long time ago." She nodded. Defeated. Then, just as she turned to leave, she said it, "He never even loved me. Jason. He ghosted me last week. Blocked my number. I've got nothing now. I should have felt bad. I really should have. But I didn't." She tried to trade a decade of loyalty for cheap attention, and now she was left with nothing. But I wasn't done yet. There was one more thing she didn't know I had. After she walked out of my house looking like a ghost of herself, I could have ended it there. Let her wallow. Let the court wrap up the divorce and go back to my life. But I couldn't let it go. Not yet. She'd tried to ruin me. My job. My home. My dignity. She'd called me a free ride. Stolen from me. Lied to my face while sleeping with 2, maybe more, different men behind my back. And then tried to play the victim when it all came crashing down. So yeah. I had one more move. It started with a box in the garage. When I set up those cameras during the first weeks of the split, I also cleaned out the attic and found a dusty banker's box with old tax returns and paperwork. Mixed in with the junk was an envelope I didn't recognize. Inside were 2 printed contracts. One was for a short-term lease on a condo in Cincinnati, dated 3 years ago. I'd never lived there. Never even been to the address. The other was a W-9 form, in Marcy's name. She had been moonlighting under a different last name. Not just cheating, living another life. I looked up the condo. It had been rented by someone named Marcy Sutter. Sutter. Jason's last name. She was pretending to be married to him on paper. The W-9 was from a remote freelance gig, a marketing firm. She'd never told me she was working that job. Said she was volunteering at a local shelter during that year. This wasn't just infidelity. It was fraud. I sent it all to my lawyer. He blinked twice when he saw the name. She was using a false identity and collecting income under it. Depending on how that income was reported, she could be in trouble with the IRS. What kind of trouble? If she didn't report that income on your joint returns? That's tax evasion. And if she used any of your accounts to funnel that money? That's federal. Now I had her. I didn't even want to press charges, not at first. I just wanted to protect myself. Clear my name, and end this war with proof that I wasn't the bad guy. But when my lawyer sent her the discovery documents and tax questions, she didn't just panic. She flipped out. 3 missed calls. 5 long emails. 1 voicemail where she was sobbing so hard I could barely understand the words. Please don't report me. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Jason made me do it. I was just lost. Then came the kicker: if this goes public, I'll lose my job. That's when I realized the full scope. She wasn't just lying to me, she was hiding a whole second life. And now? She wanted to pretend she was the victim of her own lies. I didn't respond. Not yet. I wanted to see how far she'd go. And she went further. I got a letter from her lawyer 2 days later. A counteroffer. She'd give up the house, the accounts, even the car, if I agreed not to report the tax documents. They were scared. And I was holding all the cards. But part of me still didn't feel satisfied. She needed to understand what it felt like, to lose control, to be humiliated, to have everything crumble while smiling for the world. And I had just the way to do it. I didn't rush the final move. For 2 weeks, I let her lawyer think we were considering the offer. I had my lawyer send follow-up questions, made them think I was close to signing. In the meantime, I quietly forwarded the documents to a contact I had at the IRS, a guy I met years ago at a contractor's event, someone I helped out with a tool discount on a big job. He remembered me. I told him, I don't want to destroy her. I just want this clean. I want to make sure I'm not going down with her if they audit us. He said, you did the right thing coming to me. They opened a preliminary file on her that same day. Then I called Jason. He didn't answer, so I left a message. This is Rob. Marcy's soon-to-be ex-husband. Thought you should know, the name she used when she lived with you. IRS is looking into it. You might want to check your bank statements. He never called back. But 2 days later, I checked his Facebook again. Gone. Deleted. She was going to be left to clean it all up, alone. Still, I wasn't done. I went back to the storage unit, the one I'd left untouched. I unlocked it, took out all the journals, all the little fake life pieces she'd stashed away. I boxed them up, added copies of her messages to Jason and Luca, and included the lease contract with her fake name. Then I shipped the box to her employer. No note. No explanation. Just the truth, in her own handwriting, photos, and documents. I heard she was fired that same week. By then, the divorce was finalized. She got nothing. No house. No spousal support. Her sister wouldn't take her back in, too much drama. Jason ghosted her. Luca? Who knows if he ever even gave her his real name. The last I heard, she was couch surfing with a distant cousin in Columbus and trying to get a temp job. As for me, I kept the house. Got promoted at work after my manager apologized for the fake report. Reconnected with some old friends I'd pushed away during the marriage. Even started talking to a woman I met at the gym. Nothing serious yet. Just human. Honest. But I'll say this, the worst part wasn't losing her. It was realizing I never really had her to begin with. And the revenge? It wasn't about hurting her. It was about showing her that the man she called up a free ride was the same one who could burn her whole fake world down, and walk away without blinking. She thought she'd leave me stranded in Paris. Turns out, she's the one who got left behind.